My name is Chase Palmieri, as Rowan said. I am a two-time founder, a background as a media watchdog, and today I'm going to be telling you about my company, Credder, where I'm CEO and founder. And we're on a mission to make news compete for credibility, not clicks. Oh, back one. So I'm sure you're all intimately familiar in your own lives with the record level of distrust in online news today. 66% of Americans say they no longer trust the media. And this is a direct result of an advertising model that rewards clickbait and sensationalism at the expense of readers' trust. And so what you might not know is that this is negatively affecting platforms as well as advertisers. So platforms are in a position now where they're being forced to make editorial decisions, a responsibility they never asked for. And digital advertisers are increasingly hesitant to show up on news sites because it could damage their brand's reputation. All of this is bad because it means less revenue to support quality journalism. And so, like I said, Credder's mission is to make news compete for credibility, not clicks. And we believe we can achieve that in 3 steps. Step 1 was to become the world's largest news review platform. So we launched Credder.com in 2018, and since then we've amassed the world's largest database of news, reviews, and ratings, boasting over 10,000 reviews. Now, the way that this works is we allow verified journalists to rate articles under a critic score, and the general public to rate articles under a public score. This creates credibility or Credder scores for each article, author, and outlet. And this is important because it is the first ever example of allowing news consumers to hold media accountable. Step number 2 is to make sure that the work and the voice of these news consumers is going to good use. And so what we began doing last year was actually licensing out the Credder scores to major content platforms like social media, search engines, and news aggregators. Again, these platforms do not want to make the editorial decisions. And so now, using Credder scores, they can prioritize credible websites and content within their own products without making those editorial decisions and making sure that the voices of these news consumers is pushing out to that second stakeholder in the industry, those content platforms. I'm happy to say that this model is working. We have 5 enterprise customers on annual contracts, and this is recurring revenue that we're generating today with those content platforms, social media, search engines, and news aggregators. Step number 3 was to push the Credder scores by licensing them out to the third stakeholder, digital advertisers. These folks need a way to assess the credibility of news websites and content at scale because of brand risk. Now, you might be thinking, why would an advertiser really care about credibility? Does that really matter to them? Don't they just want to make as much money on their ad campaign as possible and maximize revenue? Well, it turns out, case studies by IPG Media Brands and other folks have shown that advertising on credible websites and information actually increases click-through rates by 143%. Now, this is probably somewhat intuitive. If you trust a website or a piece of content that you're looking at, you're probably more likely to engage with the ad placement that's appearing next to it. So a couple months ago, Credder launched its software platform, which allows brands, ad agencies, and ad tech companies to easily target their ad spend to credible websites and content. Now, we already have major brands and ad agencies, even ad agencies based here in Cincinnati, that are using our software today. And I'm happy to report that they're already providing us testimonials, case studies, and going on record saying that a high Credder score does in fact correlate with a higher performing ad placement. What's coming next for Credder is to reach that last stakeholder in the ecosystem, the publishers themselves. And so what we'll be doing is launching our second recurring revenue model, where we allow publishers to add Credder's review capabilities directly to their own sites. And now here you might be thinking, really, a publisher is going to want, let alone pay, to let their readers rate them? It's a good thought, but there are 3 key benefits that they'll experience overnight. First, they can increase their user engagement and time on site, as their readers can now engage directly with each piece of content. And this is a great way for them to replace or even just additive to those toxic comment sections we've all seen on publisher websites. Second is that those publishers can now track audience trust on the level of each individual article, staff writer, and the overall publication, providing them insights into their business that they've never had before. And last but definitely not least, is that these publishers can now demonstrate their credibility and brand safety to the advertisers, again, who are increasingly hesitant to show up on news sites. So this makes Credder a very worthwhile investment for a publisher in their own advertising revenue. This means that soon Credder will be in a very unique and advantageous position where we're going to be working with both the demand and supply side of the advertising ecosystem. This creates a virtuous cycle that we refer to as Credder's customer network effect, whereby with each new advertiser that begins using Credder's software to target their advertising, it creates urgency amongst publishers to make sure that they have a good Credder score. And then, as these publishers add Credder's review capabilities to their own websites to, again, make sure that they also have a good Credder score, it creates more data that Credder can then turn around and provide to the advertisers to improve that targeting of their ad spend. So each new advertiser and each new publisher makes both products more valuable. As you can see, Credder is reimagining and realigning the incentives in today's broken media landscape. So if you work in digital advertising and you want higher conversion rates and brand safety for your next ad campaign, or maybe you just want to be part of the solution, please come talk to me afterwards. I'll be right at that booth right there. And if you're an investor here tonight and you're interested in investing in a software business with recurring revenue and high gross profit margins, tackling a huge problem in a huge industry, then please come talk to me because we're opening up Credder's seed round in the next couple of months. And for the rest of us out here, us news consumers, you can go to Credder.com, and today, you can make news compete for credibility, not clicks. Thank you very much, everybody.